Hello, everyone, and welcome to Project Model UN, India's #1 resource for Model United Nations. I am very excited to have with us today Mr. Shim Matthew, who is the principal at VIBGYOR High in Goregaon West in Mumbai, India. So let me tell you why I'm so excited to introduce you to Mr. Shim. It's because VIBGYOR High is a school that not only values international education and international exposure, but they also deeply care about Model United Nations. In fact, they care about it so much that they take their students to a lot of conferences, but also 4 years ago, they started their own conference, VIBGYOR, which is actually starting tomorrow. So I'll have him tell us a little bit more about it in just a second. So welcome, Mr. Shim. I'm so happy to have you with us. Thank you. So just to get us started, for those parents or educators or students who are watching, and maybe they don't know about VIBGYOR High, can you tell us a little bit about the school's philosophy, and what it stands for? Hmm. Oh, wow, congratulations. Hmm. Wow, 18 schools. Hmm. 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 Enthuse, enlighten, and empower. Wonderful. So I want to break apart a little bit of what you said. So you said that VIBGYOR wants to revolutionize education, and then you also said that you want to prepare students for a constantly changing world. So when you say revolutionize education, can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that specifically? Hmm. 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 Mm. Fantastic. No, absolutely. And I love what you said about curiosity because I was going through your website and I read that one of the things that you really care about is about experiential learning and having your students learn about not just what's happening in India, but what's happening in the rest of the world. And I know that you have some really interesting programs that you use to expose students. So can you talk to us a little bit about what those programs are and why you chose to even do them? Mm, 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 mm. Really? Oh, that is. Mhm. No, so I was just gonna say that it's amazing that not only did you take your students, but then you took a personal interest in the program, and then you were an instructor yourself. I think that's it. Really speaks of the level of commitment, right, to this type of international education. Of course. Fantastic. So then presidential classrooms in DC is one of the programs. What other programs do you offer students? Hmm. Then we'll go there. Hmm. 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 Right. And for those people, yeah, exactly. I was just going to say for people who don't know, ILMON stands for Ivy League Model United Nations Conference, which is organized by the University of Pennsylvania. Fantastic. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Okay, so you gave me a lot of information, so I want to go back and dissect each piece. So the first thing that I found interesting is that when you were looking at international exposure, you looked for Model United Nations conferences. Now, a lot of parents and even principals, they've heard about Model UN from maybe their friends or their kids' friends, but they don't quite understand it and they don't quite understand what the value of it is. So, you who are a principal and who really cares about it, could you tell us a little bit about why you see so much value in the activity? Yes, tell us about why you see so much value in the activity. Why should anyone do Model United Nations? Out of all the million other activities that they could do, why Model UN? I love it. I love it. You're a convert. I think this is the best case scenario. Yes. Mm, mm, yes. Mm, 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 mm. Mm. Fantastic. I love what you said because I think that your reaction to Model United Nations is a reaction that a lot of people have, but very few people voice. Because no principal wants to say, I don't believe in the power of Model, I don't believe in the activity, not in the power. I don't believe that it works or it's too much, right? So I appreciate the honesty and I think you're right when you say we have to be challenged. I mean, I love telling the story. When I went to my first Model UN conference, I was so intimidated by it that I pretended to be sick. I just didn't show up because it is really scary to speak in front of people about a topic that you kind of research but really don't know anything about. So it was really intimidating. But from what I hear you say is that you saw that the challenge was something that the students needed in order to develop leadership skills, to see outside of themselves. So can you share a story about maybe one or two of your students who has been very successful at Model UN and the transformation that you've seen in them? Maybe somebody who didn't used to speak in public and now they're more outgoing, or just share a personal story so that people who are watching can connect with the activity. Mm, Mm-hmm. 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 Wow. 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 I love this story. It's fantastic, and I love it because I think there's a commonality about having the nervousness to speak in front of other people. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned doing Model UN and that I've heard other people learn is whatever it is that you're saying, you have to be confident about it. And I think especially in those critical teenage years, that is a very valuable lesson to learn, right? When you're doubting your identity, you don't really know who you are or who you want to be. It's very powerful. Mm, mm. Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to get a little bit into the trajectory of the school because I think it's fascinating. You decided that you were skeptical about Model United Nations, but still you said, I'm going to give it a shot. So you took a bet on the activity. And then you go to Harvard, you go to the University of Pennsylvania for 4 years, and then you decide, okay, we've learned how to do it. Now we're going to have our own conference. I want to learn a little bit about that process because a lot of schools are in the situation that VIBGYOR was in 4 years ago. They've been going to conferences. They now are thinking about starting a conference, but probably what they think is, oh, that it's so much work. Who's going to run it? Because it is a lot of work. So I want to understand from your perspective, what would you tell a principal who is considering starting a conference? Uh, what would you advise them? Like, why think about starting a conference? Like, what has the school gained from it? Yes, I can hear you. Perfect. Tell me. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 Mm-hmm. 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 Of course. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Of course. And, a lot of the students, I was speaking to some of your student leaders from last year's VHMUN, and they have this immense sense of pride in their work and in what they've done. And it's a huge sense of accomplishment. I remember when I was the Secretary General for Columbia's conference, that was probably my proudest achievement of my undergraduate experience, being able to say, we created this. And because of the work that we did, students have this experience. So, a fantastic leadership experience for students. The other thing that I love about what you said is that I get the sense that Model UN for you and this program is almost like a personal crusade and a personal passion of yours. That you just love to empower your students, you wanted to create something for them, and then you saw it through. So I love that. I love that enthusiasm. I'm sure your students really are able to connect with that. So now, as my final question to you is, for those parents or students who are watching this and they're considering VIBGYOR High as a school that they may want to attend or a school that they may want to send their children to, what would you tell them about what makes VIBGYOR different and what makes the school stand out? Hmm. Mm. Yep. Fantastic. I love it. I love the part about empowering because you just gave us an example earlier, right? Here you go. Here's this challenge. Find a way to run this, find a way to fund this, go. So it's amazing. It's when you do things like that that you grow. Fantastic, Mr. Shim. Thank you so much. Now, if people want to find out about VHMUN, VIBGYOR High Model United Nations, where can they find out more about it? Mhm. Fantastic. Fantastic. And if they want to stay in touch with you or the school VIBGYOR, what is the best way to stay in touch? Hmm. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. I really appreciate it, and all the best with VHMUN. Thank you.